Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. And I wasn't planning on making this video, but I had nothing to do today, and I decided to go on Disney Plus. And I saw that Werewolf by Night got dropped, I think, yesterday. So I thought, like, what the hell? I'll check it out. And so I originally saw the trailer for the Werewolf by Night Halloween special. And like the first thing that I liked going into that was knowing that like it was gonna be shot in black and white, and that at least by the trailer it was going to go like a little bit more on like the, I guess, like more bloody and brutal side of Marvel, because like I mean up till this point the MCU has really been like formulaic, have been like just action-packed and jokes and all of that, like especially with the recent Thor movies. It's really just been like a joke fest at this point. So that's why I was very excited for like projects like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night, because like I like horror movies more than superhero movies, but I really like it when they actually mesh the two of them together. So I've been really excited for like these recent projects, because like they were kind of delving into the more horror aspect, which I mean, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, even though it was directed by Sam Raimi, like it wasn't a horror movie. There were some horror elements in it that Sam Raimi injected into it, mostly because like he's known for doing the Evil Dead franchise, but it wasn't a horror movie. Moon Knight came a little bit closer, but it was still very like connected to the MCU. Like even though they said that they were gonna be that they were gonna take the Iron Man approach and say like they weren't gonna do like all these big bombastic crossovers and cameos with it, I mean there were still a couple mentions to the larger MCU, especially with that one mention of Madripoor in I think episode 3. But I mean, that one did delve a little bit more into like the bloody side. Like there were a couple like moments with a lot of blood and a little bit of gore in that series. It also had some like horror moments, especially with Khonshu. But when I went into this, I thought that was basically gonna be like Moon Knight, like maybe a little bit of bloody, maybe a little bit of horror, but for the most part still like just tethered to the MCU, like with having like that trademark humor and trademark CGI in action. And I was sort of right. Well, I guess I was both right and wrong, because it did definitely have that like old MCU humor in it. Like there's still a lot of jokes that's like really formulaic to the Marvel brand right now. The action was, there were a lot of scenes that were kind of action oriented. Like one of the characters specifically named Elsa Bloodstone, like she's basically like the specials version of Black Widow with the way she fights. But other than that, like it was, they at least did try to like go the horror route on this one. So the story itself is basically about how like all these hunters gather to capture this one monster that is supposed to be like the worst of all of them. And while most of the hunters are after the monster, one hunter in particular, Elsa, she's just after like this magical artifact called the Bloodstone that is, I think, an heirloom in her family, but because she became estranged, now she has to basically fight for it. So while the hunters are trying to capture the monster, which that artifact, the Bloodstone, is attached to his back, it turns out that one of the hunters in particular, named Jack, he is actually friends with the monster and he's trying to help him escape. So that that's basically the whole plot of the special. And I feel like the trailer showed a little bit too much in this. Except for the monster. For people who are kind of really into the comics, the monster is known as the Man-Thing. I mean, in the special, he's just called Ted, which that's his actual name in the comics, Ted Sallis. But so the first half is basically like the first half is basically Jack enlisting Elsa to help him with rescuing the Man-Thing, Ted. And then the second half is when they discover that Jack is a monster himself, and then they reveal that he's a werewolf. So that's really the entire plot of the special. I did really like that it was trying to be like a throwback to like the old Universal monster movies, especially the werewolf ones, where like it was completely shot in black and white. There was some film grain to it. And I mean, like I said with my Terrifier reviews the other day, like it felt a little bit off-putting, but I quickly warmed up to it, just like with those movies. And there were even those I don't really want to say lens flares, but like parts where like where you see like the shot flicker and it has like that black circle kind of. I don't know if I'm doing a good job to describe it, but like it shows like the film's age basically. Like periodically throughout the special, like they actually show that on the screen, like up in the corner. And I always thought that I think that was a nice touch. And like I said at the beginning of this video, like it's definitely one of the more bloody Marvel projects. Like it's not to the level where it'll be rated R or anything. But it is like almost to the level of, I really want to say Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but like not even that movie was really that bad. Like, really the only really gory scene in Multiverse of Madness was when Black Bolt's head gets exploded. But like here, you actually see people like get shot with like crossbow bolts and they're sticking out of their mouths, or people get their hands cut off. There is this one-shot long take that I really kind of liked, where Jack, as like once he transforms into a werewolf, he just massacres all of these guards who I originally thought that they were going to be part of the Time Variance Authority, and there's a chance that they could still be, but they never mentioned the TVA from Loki in there, even though they look a lot like them, and they use weapons that look very similar to the ones they used in the Loki show. But either way, like they do this long take of Jack just massacring the guards as a werewolf, and like he completely disembowels one of them, and like blood sprays across the camera. He bites off the ear of one of the hunters, and then like he's just completely slashing the guards left and right, and the entire time like there's basically like this strobe light that's flickering, so you only see like glimpses of what he's actually doing, and it just looks amazing. But then on the flip side of this, and like this isn't exactly the fault of Werewolf by Night, but that whole bit where the werewolf is just massacring the guards, and like it's done in like one continuous take. It only lasts about a minute, but it's still there. The one thing that annoyed me a bit about it, or like, well, more that annoyed me about like Marvel in general, is that like we just had the newest episode of She-Hulk get released with Daredevil, and he had like a hallway fight scene, which they took 30 shots in. It wasn't like one long continuous take like in the first 2 seasons of Daredevil. It took like 30 different shots and angles, and half the time you don't even know what you're looking at. So it does annoy me and boggle my mind a little bit that they did like one long take for this scene, but not the Daredevil scene in She-Hulk. But again, that is not the fault of Werewolf by Night. And then really the only other really big nitpick that I had was, like, again, it was still very action-packed, like a regular superhero movie. And there still was that, like, trademark Marvel humor that basically all started with Guardians of the Galaxy. And then they just, like, amped it up ever since. So, I don't know, that's really all of my thoughts on the special itself. But I did thoroughly enjoy it because, like, it does show that Marvel is willing to, like, to take risks and to, like, take, like, outside steps from their usual brand, right? And, like, I've been hearing that, and like I said in the She-Hulk kind of video, I've been hearing that Marvel Zombies will be rated TVMA when it comes out. So, again, it shows that they're willing to make, like, darker content, like Deadpool 3 coming out. It's being put into the MCU. Speaking of, that's awesome that Wolverine's coming back. And they already confirmed that Deadpool 3 is gonna stay rated R. So, like, it shows that Disney is absolutely willing to, like, go dark and, like, up the age rating if they need to. So, again, this brings a lot of hope that, like, I mean, maybe we'll see, like, Supernatural Avengers, or I believe they're called the Midnight Suns in the comics. Like, that would be great, and, like, that would be a great answer to when DC did, like, their Justice League Dark, like, a few years back. I mean, heck, we're getting a Constantine 2 with Keanu Reeves real soon. So, then, all in all, this was a really great special. I think that fans of the original Universal, like, monster movies, especially, like, the Wolfman movies with, I believe his name was Lon Chaney Jr., I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. Like, even, like, for regular MCU watchers, like, definitely check it out. I mean, it's still very much tethered to the MCU. It's just willing to show, like, sort of, like, the darker side of Marvel, and that's just fantastic. But that's really all my thoughts for this. Definitely go out and see it when you're able to. Anyway, bye, guys.